Okay, so the final part of this worksheet, we're going to review distance and midpoint and find the perimeter and area of the following figures. So remember, for distance and midpoint, you have a choice. You can use the formulas that we talked about, or you can do the easy way and crunch them out that way. So for distance, remember what we had to do is line them up and then subtract them from each other. So for distance, you minus. So 2 minus 2 is 0. Negative 1 minus 5 is negative 6. Then remember, you have to square them. So 0 squared and then negative 6 squared. So that's going to be 0 plus 36. And that's equal to 36. And then finally, you square root it. So square root of 36 is equal to 6. So the distance between those 2 points is 6. Remember, when it comes to midpoint, you line them up and then you add them. So in this case, we can use the ones that are already on the paper here. We're going to put a big plus. So 2 plus 2 is 4. Then negative 1 plus 5 is 4 as well. So your midpoint is going to be the point 4 divided by 2. And then the y is 4 divided by 2 as well. So the midpoint here is, these both give whole numbers. So you have to write that. 4 divided by 2 is 2. 4 divided by 2 is 2. So the distance between them is 6, and the midpoint between these 2 points is at the point 2, 2. Same thing down here in this problem for the distance. We'll line them up. 2, 1, 4, 3. Remember, distance we minus. So 2 minus 4 is negative 2. 1 minus 3 is negative 2 as well. Then what we do is we square them. So negative 2 squared and negative 2 squared. So that's going to be 4 plus 4. That's equal to 8. And our answer is the square root of 8. So if you want to get the decimal, you put that in your calculator. For the purpose of this worksheet, we'll leave it as the square root of 8. All right. The midpoint, we'll line them up over here and we'll add them together. 2 plus 4 is 6. 1 plus 3 is 4. So the midpoint is going to be 6 divided by 2, 4 divided by 2. All right. So the midpoint here, 6 divided by 2 is 3. 4 divided by 2 is 2. So the distance between them is the square root of 8, which is almost 3. And then the midpoint here is at the point 3, 2. Okay, so that's how you handle distance and midpoint problems. Let's look at finding the perimeter and area. And for the third one here, we call that circumference. So this should be a C instead of a P. That's going to be the circumference. But remember, circumference of a circle is the fancy circle name for perimeter. All right. So find the perimeter area of the following figures. In figure 1, we very obviously have a rectangle. They have 2 separate distances here. So this is the width, and then the length is 6. So remember that the perimeter, we either add up all the sides, or we add the 2 sides together that we know and then multiply them by 2. So let's say if I started here in this corner and I wanted to add up all the sides, I would go 3 plus 6 plus 3 more plus 6 more. Or you can just do 2 times 3 plus 6. So 3 plus 6 is 9. 2 times 9 is 18. The perimeter is 18. For the area, it's the length times the width. So that's going to be 6 times 3. And that's also going to be 18. So that's how you find perimeter and area of a rectangle. Notice here in the next one, 4 and 4, this means that all the sides are equal. So that's a square. So with the square, the perimeter is just 4 times the length. So 4 times 4 is 16. Or you can add up all the sides again. Starting in the corner, it would be 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4. So 4 times 4 is 16. So that's our perimeter. The area is going to be the length squared, or 4 squared. So again, that's going to be 16. So just as a coincidence, the perimeter is going to equal the area in both of these cases, but that's not always true. So when we're talking about circumference for this third figure, here notice they've given us R. Okay, they've only given us half the length. That's called the radius. So R is equal to 2. Remember that the circumference We find that by doing 2 pi r. Remember that pi is 3.14. So in this case, it'd be 2 times 3.14 times 2, or 3.14 times 4. So 4 times 4 is 16. 4, 5, 3 times 4 is 12. So you're going to get 12.56 for the circumference. Okay, the area of a circle, remember, that's pi r squared. So that's going to be equal to 3.14 times the radius, which is 2 squared. So again, that's going to be 3.14 times 2 squared is 4. So 3.14 times 4, you're going to get the same number. So just by some crazy coincidence, all of these perimeters and circumferences are equal to all the areas. But that's not always true. If you have any questions on anything you've seen on this worksheet, please bring it to class.